This video is about an unlikely football fan from Dublin, Ireland. Stick around because it's going to be interesting even if you're not a football fan. So Ross, welcome back. It's been about, what, an year and a half? You're pretty regular in Rome normally, but this time it's been a bit more than usual.
Yeah, because of the pandemic, it's been hard to travel, but I always make a point to come to the Eternal City. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
You've been coming here for what? For how long?
Since I was 2 years old.
And your Italian's impressive. I heard you the other day, and it's pretty good.
My Italian is reasonable. I have an Italian relative and I went to night classes for 4 years. So the level has dropped since I stopped going to the night classes, but I get by in Italian. I'm okay.
Oh, how did we meet? We met at a party, right? And one of the first things that I remember about you is that you're a Lazio fan, right? Why this interest for Italian football in the first place?
My interest in Italian football started probably around 1992 when the Italian clubs, domestic sides, club sides, were winning regularly in European Cups, 1, 2, 3 a season, and to go to an Italian football match was a spectacle. It wasn't just a game of football, it was really a spectacle. And I, like many other fans around Europe, wanted to see a game in Rome, in Italy. Back in the 90s, Italian football there were fireworks, there were flares, there were smoke bombs, there was flags. It was passionate, it was crazy in the stadiums. I've never experienced it anywhere else.
Okay, I get it, but why Lazio of all teams?
Well, it's a long story, but I can give you the short version of it. I came to Rome in 1992 to spend time with my Italian uncle. And as I said, Italian football was at the pinnacle of European football. And I wanted to go to a game. So I went up to the Olimpico, and it happened to be Lazio playing. And I didn't know where to buy a ticket, where to sit in the stadium. I entered inside, and I was in the Curva Sud. I didn't know the difference in the Curva Nord, Curva Sud. I entered the stadium, and I was so disappointed to see the mass of seething passion at the other end of the stadium. As all the Lazio fans, it just sent shivers down my spine. So the following week, Lazio were also playing a second game at home, and I managed to get a ticket for the Curva Nord, and I was already in love with Italian football, yes, and on its way to a love affair with Lazio. And then before I went home, I took in one more game. It was Lazio against Parma. Paul Gascoigne from England came on to play, and Lazio won 5-2, and I just became obsessed with Lazio. The atmosphere, the noise, when Lazio scored, the stadium would shake. The fireworks, the bangers, the cheering, the chanting was nothing like I'd seen anywhere in the world.
Do you want to explain like Curva Nord and Curva Sud?
So the Olimpico,
what is the curva?
The curva is in Italian means curve. So a lot of the stadiums have a curve behind the goal, and it's traditionally where the home fans stand. But in Rome, the two Roman teams, Lazio and Roma, they share the Stadio Olimpico, but their territory is different. Lazio occupy traditionally the north curve, Curva Nord, and Roma occupy the Curva Sud.
What was going on through your mind back then?
When I attended the games, it was something like I'd never experienced in the world. The noise, the amount of fans, the excitement, the passion, and I just fell in love with it straight away. I'm a sports fan of many sports, but Italian football at the time was just the top. It was really the best in Europe, and as I said earlier, you go to a game, you went for the spectacle or the show, and to see great football as well. The players were the best in Europe, the stadiums were modern at the time, and the football was just really, really exciting. You craved a goal because you knew the place would explode when there would be a goal.
What did you know about Lazio in the first place?
So I would admit my knowledge of Italian football was probably limited to Juventus, AC Milan and Inter, because we didn't have much Italian football on television. But coincidentally, in 1992, an English television channel, which is available in Ireland, Channel 4, started showing a program called Gazzetta Football Italia. And they showed a live football match from Italy every Sunday. And it developed a really big following. So Italians couldn't see live football at 3 o'clock on a Sunday, but in Ireland and England we could. And so we got to love it. It was a tradition, a ritual, to sit down after your Sunday lunch and watch Italian football.
As far as I remember, you're also a Liverpool fan? a Celtic fan and Saint Etienne fan and a Lazio fan. What is the difference between these teams? How do they resonate with you? What's the difference?
It's a hard one to call. I've often imagined that the 4 teams you just mentioned ended up in the Champions League semi-finals. And out of the 4, who would I like to win the Champions League final?
But what's the difference in the vibe for you between these 4 teams?
As an Irish person, I follow Celtic. Well, Liverpool, from a child, they were on television, and it was exciting to watch them play when I was first introduced to football. Saint Etienne was my first ever live match, so I was on a school exchange in France, and they have terrific fans. The team were brilliant in the 70s. The fans are crazy, but still not on a par with the Lazio fans when at the Olimpico.
The thing is, back in the 90s, that thing would hold, what, 90,000 people?
About 80, above 80,000.
It was pretty loud.
And it was loud, and it was passionate, and it was crazy. It was the derby especially. I've attended 7 derbies now. I've been fortunate enough to see 3 Lazio wins out of the 7 matches, and I will admit, as only football fans will understand, I've cried tears of joy at the derby when Lazio have won. There's been times when they were expected to be hammered. I remember one game they were not going to win, and within 3 minutes they were 2-0 up. We were still celebrating the first goal when Zarate scored a second goal, and Kolarov, who was playing for Lazio at the time, scored a coast-to-coast goal, as it's known in Italian football. Lazio ended up winning the game 4-2, and I was crying tears of joy. Like on another occasion, Lazio beat Juventus 4-1. Lazio, we've a terrible record against Juventus, but to beat Juventus 4-1 was like Ireland winning the World Cup. It was a really, really special night, and the fans celebrate when they leave the stadium. They sing songs with passion, as if they've won the World Cup. It's phenomenal to see, and it's week in, week out like that.
You're not just a Lazio fan, you're Tesserato Lazio fan. That means that you have a membership card.
A fan card, yeah, a fan card.
A fan card, all right, which is not exactly an easy thing to come by, right?
No, it can be quite difficult. It's used in Italy if you want to attend an away game and sit in the away section. You need this Tessera del Tifoso, as they call it, a fan card. Mm-hmm. And I applied for one when I came to Rome about 7 years ago. I was coming for an extended holiday, and I thought I'll get this within a week, 10 days. I applied to La Posta in Italy, and a year later I still hadn't heard anything back. I was back in Rome, I went back to La Posta post office, and they told me to reapply. I reapplied, nothing happened. My Italian relative called Lazio, and they were having so many problems. I made a 3rd application, and the 3 cards arrived within a week. So I then had the Tessera del Tifoso.
How did it make you feel when you finally got that fan card?
I laughed, and it was relief in a way, because it meant I could start going to away games. And for me as a football fan, a lot of football fans will say you get the better atmosphere because the away fans, as I said, are the die-hard fans, the ones who really want to support the team, who travel across Europe, up and down the country to see the team. Smaller crowd, but they're always energetic and they sing louder, and it's great to be at an away game and win because you're winning in another team's city and they're up in their territory, which is great. I think it was just before COVID, I went to 3 away games in a row: Udine, to Torino, and to Fiorentina. And Lazio won the 3 games, which is quite unheard of for any football team to win 3 away games in a row. Yeah. But to be with the Lazio fans, the joking and the insulting the opposition was really, really good fun.
What other away games did you go to?
So I've seen Lazio play against Juventus in Turin, and as usual they lost. I think they've only scored about 1 or 2 goals against Juventus in the last 20 games, something horrific. And I was at the San Siro last Sunday to watch, and that didn't go very well. Lazio didn't play at all. They had a couple of what you could call back passes, but they were shots on goal, and they ignored the chances, and they lost 2-0 against Milan. It was still good fun, but it would have been nice to have seen a goal or at least a draw.
Okay, you went to all these away games, but was there ever a time when you felt like giving up?
No. Never. I'm a football addict. Till the day I die, I will continue going to matches. I always take in a game when I travel, whether it's in America, baseball, American football, NBA. I've been to football matches all over Europe. I always just love going to see any stadium.
Where?
All over Europe. I've been France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Sweden, Denmark, England, Scotland.
In Ireland. We went to a game in Dublin. Right?
We went to the Dublin derby
Rovers,
against Bohemians. Yeah, because
it was great. I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
It's a crazy small stadium. It's very, very old. There's good atmosphere, and it's a big rivalry between Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers. So I'm also a Bohemians fan. People might think I follow every team on the planet, but it's not true.
Yeah. But it was great fun. I remember the foul smell of the food. The food is horrible, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's What's the proper food for the stadium? Oily, like
Greasy.
smells like burnt oil, but I loved it. I loved every second of it. Yeah. There are 3 teams in Rome. Very few people know that. There is Roma, Lazio, and Trastevere. The big rivalry is between Roma and Lazio.
Between Lazio and Roma, yes.
Tell me about it.
So it's a cross-city rivalry. There's a few of them in Italy, in Milan, in Genoa, but the one in Rome is lunacy. The fans really don't like each other. If you're a betting man and you want to bet who's going to finish higher in the table, I'd say put your money on Roma. If you want to bet who's going to win the derby, probably put your money on Roma, because Roma have won it maybe 20 times more often than Lazio. But if you want to actually put money on who's going to win a title, Lazio, they're not winners every year, but they win occasionally enough to keep the fans happy. No Roma fan will ever forget, and Lazio fans will always remember, the 26th of May 2013, when Lazio and Roma met for the first time ever and never since in the Coppa Italia, Italian Cup final. And as a fan, I was honest, I would have kind of expected Roma would win, but no. Senad Lulic, 71st minute, scored the winner, and you'll still see graffiti 8 years later in Rome with his name and the time of the goal. And I think Lazio fans after the game even had a mock funeral for Roma. They brought a casket through the city to celebrate the end of their life as a club.
What was your biggest disappointment as a Lazio fan?
To be honest, it was the aforementioned Coppa Italia final. I had a ticket for the game, and I had been in London the day before at the Champions League final, and I had a flight booked to get to Rome early afternoon. The flight was delayed 5 hours, and I landed as Lazio were lifting up the cup. I was excited to know they'd won it, but to know that I had a ticket and I couldn't be there for the greatest night in their history. They've won the Cup Winners' Cup, but this is definitely the greatest night in their history. And I still have my ticket, but I wasn't at the game. It was really, really disappointing.
Who are the 3 people from the Lazio world that left the biggest impression on you?
The first had to be Beppe Signori. He was quite a diminutive striker, and I just loved when he was taking penalties, he would only take one step and bang, it was always in the back of the net. The second had to be Alessandro Nesta. He was a god in defence. He reminds me of Virgil van Dijk today at Liverpool. The third would have to be Marcelo Salas, as he used to score these in Matador. He used to score these phenomenal goals. And he would take the ball on his knee and volley them into the back of the net. And I saw him play in Monaco in France in the Super Cup final against Manchester United, the year Man United won the Champions League, and Salah scored another wonder goal, and Lazio won the game 1-0, and it was really special to be there that night. A really, really good evening.
Is there one myth about Lazio that you would like to debunk?
It's an obvious one, and a lot of people don't know that Lazio is a Roman club. In French, they call them Lazio de Rome, the team from Rome. People don't know that they're as Roman as Roma, and a lot of fans who don't follow Italian football so entirely don't know this.
What are your other interests here in Rome?
Well, the first thing you have to talk about is the food, the restaurants. You eat very well everywhere.
Yeah.
The history of the city. Someone told me years ago, Rome is the only city in the world with history on every corner. And that is true. Now, a lot of them are not in great condition. They're falling down, but they're fabulous buildings. And actually, I'm also a stadium aficionado. And the world's greatest stadium is in Rome. And it's not the Olimpico. It's the Colosseo. It was phenomenal.
I completely agree.
It held 50,000 people. They could flood the basement. They could flood the basement and have mock naval battles in it. This is 2,000 years ago, and it's still standing.
I have to agree on that one. I've been to old Wembley, Rose Bowl, Olimpico, you name it, Bernabeu. But there is no place like Colosseo. It's the most impressive stadium.
I agree.
In your view, what's the greatest thing about Rome, other than food?
I just think there's a lot to it. The views, we're up here with a fabulous view over the city. There are buildings, as I said, history on every street corner. You eat well, you drink well. There's atmosphere in the streets. It's fun, and there's nights out that you won't have in any other city. It's just a great, great city.
What sucks here?
So the problems that I have in Rome, number one is the driving. Nobody obeys the rules. Nobody indicates when they're changing lane, which makes it very dangerous.
I love Rome and I love Dublin. What's the biggest difference that you, as an insider, I consider you an insider, you've been here forever, right? Can you tell our viewers a difference between Dublin and Rome that maybe they're not aware of?
I would say as a nation, Irish people are more open to talking to people. So if you're in a pub and you're having a drink, this sounds terrible, a stereotype that we drink all the time in Ireland, but we will talk to foreigners. We're curious about them. It's not so evident in Rome. If people hear a foreign accent, they're a little bit curious, but they don't show too much of an interest. Whereas in Ireland, we will talk to that person and probably end up going for a pint with them and having a nice evening.
That's why I like it so much there. So you made it to Rome after a year and a half, and what's next for you in the future?
Well, it's always been a dream of mine to have a season ticket for the Curva Nord and to stand there and sing with the Lazio-Fans. But there are some things I'm not so cool about in Rome. As we mentioned, the traffic, the noise, and the heat as well for an Irish person can become unbearable. Even for Romans, they become unbearable. But I'm still considering it. Maybe in the future my dream will come true. But it would be nice if it was a good season for Lazio and there was a Scudetto at the end.